starting up a business.
Cheap seats.
What to do, what not to do,
Yeah.
who to talk to, who not to talk to.
That's well, that's a later episode.
That's
We'll
it.
wait till. Yeah. Yeah, let's not bring that up, but we will at some point. It'll come up, I'm sure. Yeah, so people that want to do what we did aren't scared, or if they are scared, they know they have a reason to be, because it's not a cakewalk, but it's also a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's your fun? We
Something I'd love to hit on is kind of off topic. Partnership, 50-50.
yeah.
Got told by many of old timers and people a lot wiser than we are not to do it. But us being hard headed, we did it anyway.
Yeah.
We've made it work.
I'm just kidding.
As far as our relationship goes, right? I feel like we've made it work beautifully, but it hasn't been easy per se, but it's taken, I don't know, maturity, being able to talk to each other
It's got that.
in a way that a lot of people can't. I feel like I work with people like that. I have friends that, like, if some of the conversations that we've had, you know, we can't have those conversations and then come out the other side still on the same team, still chasing the same goal.
Right.
And so I want to throw that out there as a word of caution if anybody's looking at our exact model, right, of it being a partnership.
You still being best friends when you do it. It's gonna be hard.
Yeah, maybe
Unless you
a
just
partnership isn't.
are good at eating crow and just like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Though? Like, just
Yeah.
like you gotta pick you like. There's things that don't really deserve a discussion, and you just go on with it. Does
Right.
that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, because you're. I'm trying to think of how to word it. My words. Dang, lost train of thought. Dang it. I really did. It like
Get
just,
deep now.
yeah, it just dipped out. You had just said something. What'd you say? What was the last thing you said? Because it triggered something in my brain to
Oh.
say eat crow, and then.
About being able to have those conversations. And,
Right. And,
And come out with something.
well, we had one of those conversations. 2 of those conversations, or 3 of those conversations. You can't be scared. I mean, that's one of the things that we both have, I guess,
Yeah.
in common. You gotta, I guess, you don't just jump into it. So you gotta make informed decisions, but at the same time, you can't be afraid to take a sort of a leap of faith.
Yeah.
On the other person, I guess is what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like, you had to be like, do that for me, and I had to do that for
Yeah,
you.
I
Like,
think that's another thing about what's worked so well with me and you is, I'm usually, scared, shitless, and then, you're more like, if it's an idea and you think it can work, you're
gung ho.
oh yeah, gung ho.
I see it.
It's right.
I see the future.
Yeah,
It's like-
yeah. But then I'm able to take those ideas and sort of attempt to
Take
break
them
them
down
down
6 notches so
Yeah.
that I can get them done. Because
think of all the ways it could go wrong, right?
yeah,
And then if
Slow
I'm
me
able
down.
to check all those boxes off, which is in conversation with you, and we find out that, okay, this looks like it's going to work, after having those conversations, we usually go in the right direction. Not always, but it definitely helps.
oh yeah, no doubt. So how did this idea come about? When was the first time we talked about this? Was it when the chairs? When you found the chairs? Was that like, okay?
I think so, because
With
you had the wedding, and you rented all the stuff that you rented for your wedding, farmhouse tables, chairs, pews, all the stuff that you gathered. I mean, was heavy in conversation with Ashley. And that was just an idea that we got to looking at the numbers, just rough numbers, like this stuff rents for this much, this rents for that much, like once you buy it, you know, you pretty much, you got it, so then you just have to rent it, you make your money back, and so I think that started that conversation, and you're saying I found the chairs, I can't remember, but I may have.
Somebody found chairs from a lady in Claxton, that's all I know.
Yeah, and
150 used chairs.
And I remember, you know, bringing that to you. We had this conversation. We talked about it. You were okay to try it. Then I negotiated with her. Got that final price, like $2,400 for 150 of those white slatted chairs. And I remember, I think I called you before we did it. Because I mean, I was, you know, lined up thinking let's do it, but I was like, I mean, still scared. Had the deal worked out, right? Had everything.
I'm just like, go get them.
Yeah, everything ready to go.
Why not?
And in my head, I said, let me call Hunter, and because I'm not doing this by myself. I just wasn't. I was too scared. I said, let me call Hunter, ask him if he wants to do this. If he goes in half and I go in half, I'm going to get him. I'm done thinking about business ideas. I'm done trying to come up with the next best thing. We're trying something, right?
Because
we're trying something.
So on that topic, I mean, how long did it take us to get to the point of actually? I mean, we started with the pool company.
Yeah.
I mean, and we talked about that the first time you were at John Deere.
Yeah.
We talked about that for forever.
Yeah.
I mean, we worked on that for a while. I mean, we had business cards made. We put
You
out.
did,
we put out stuff
some
on.
legwork in.
Put stuff out on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
We had people come to us like wanting us to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like we could have just, you know, we could have took that idea and run with
And I
it.
still think it would have worked. Yeah.
I mean,
It would have worked.
I think that's the thing about business. You know, people kind of talk about the American dream is lost, but to an extent, I get it because everything's so much more expensive now than it was at one time. There's so many regulations. Things are harder, but there's still something to, if you go out and do work and you do good work, you can do it. Like,
Yeah.
you can still make your own thing.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have a business that's making our income yet, you know, but it is on its way. I mean, we have established a business. We have a business. I mean, we have a beautiful sign here.
Sign.
Yeah. So
Legit.
we have these awesome cups,
That's right.
koozies. So
That's right.
you know, we have a business. Shirts, hats, like, you know, we have a business. People know who we are. We're generating income. It's growing. So, I mean, and most of that I think is attributed to simple fact of doing something, you know,
Yeah.
and being smart. You know, you got to be smart. You can't just, you know, underwater basket weaving probably isn't going to make you a lot of money. But
Depends on what you're weaving down there. I don't know. You might weaving up some cool stuff, you know.
yeah, I guess if that's your talent. You know, everybody's got one.
When somebody weaved up a cheat sheet sign underwater, we'd probably buy it, even though it'd not be smart. I think we would buy it.
Yeah, it probably costs 3 times as
Yeah.
much as this one, but I mean, hey,
It's got a story to it.
you know, our sign was made underwater.
Yeah. Which is where our heads are right now.
Underwater.
Underwater.
Back to what we was talking about though. So we did the pool thing, and we had 2 people I know specifically. Jason Dunham had came to us. He wanted us to build a pool.
Yeah,
and then yeah, and I mean he talked to us for a while. We just
I got very nervous
Yeah.
when you got that going.
And that may have been the scared part of you
Is
that,
that-
you know, and I I know I couldn't build a pool by myself, so.
I was confident we could do it.
Yeah, I mean, I had, you know.
With your experience.
Right, I had done it.
I-
I worked at American Swimming Pool in Statesboro with Brett Henry. How about that? 2 Bretts.
Different.
I worked with him for, I don't know, 3 years. I started off cleaning pools, then went into service, then went into building them. Did everything in between that there is to know about a swimming pool, all different types.
Yeah.
And I think I could have built one. I hadn't never built one by myself, but man, I've been there for every step of the way. The only thing I hadn't done is dug the hole. I mean, I put up the walls, I plumbed them, you know. I think
And my thing was, I knew how long you had been around it, and you told me how many pools y'all had installed. We had, access to equipment. Your dad, my dad. I mean, I felt like we had all the pieces, plumbing. not much else to a pool. I know digging that hole and getting everything right
Yeah, but
is harder than it sounds to me. I feel like there'll be
the
more
thing
to
about
it,
it,
but
yeah, but the thing about that was, I mean, if you've got the layout of it and you know where everything's supposed to be, I mean, you know that the bottom of it's supposed to be 8 foot, you know that the shallow end's supposed to be like 42 inches. And then you know where it shows you on a drawing where you put where your corners are.
yeah,
And you run those strings and it makes the angles for you. So, I mean, the angles a lot of the angles we did a lot of it with a Mini X or a Bobcat, but
yeah,
then we go in with hand shovels and you get it perfect.
yeah. And so when Jason got serious, I got extremely nervous because that was right when I was transitioning from the Timberman back to John Deere, right? And so that was kind of that point of where I felt like I either needed to jump in all the way, everything I had in my savings, time, like do I even go back to
Right.
this, job that I've been at, or do we just, go
Well, there's something to that.
full in?
I guess, I don't know if it's psychology or what, but there's something to that. This is guaranteed. This isn't.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even though,
Oh yeah.
if this works, it's a whole lot better than this guaranteed thing, but it's not ever guaranteed,
Not at
So
all.
that changes the whole dynamic of that decision and makes it extremely difficult.
Yeah.
And we had, on that same topic, we had Chris Adams had talked to me about doing maintenance at his house. So we could have had a monthly maintenance customer and a pool to build, but that's not enough money to
No, not at all.
make 2 families worth of income. So
No.
you're still counting on getting hundreds of more customers to make it work if you don't go back to a 9 to 5 or what hours do you work? Was it 6
a.m. to
3?
2:30, yeah.
6 to 3? Yeah, no, screw that. But anyway, so we did that. We almost committed, and then we backed out. And then what was then we talked about buying equipment, because we talked about pool company. It was like, well, if the pool company don't work, and we have the equipment, we can do clearing and grading, and
Yeah.
we can do all these different things. And I think there was a guy selling a septic tank company, or we had saw something about it. I think it may have been Megan's. I think it was somebody Megan maybe. But somebody was selling a septic tank business. He wanted to sell the whole thing.
Yeah, I remember you found
Yeah,
that too.
I mean, we talked about that. That tells you we didn't care what we did.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. We would pump shit if we had to.
Tony Burnham says, smells like money to me.
Yep. Yeah, we didn't
Yeah.
care, whatever it took. And then, did we talk about anything else after that? Was there any other business ideas?
I don't think we had anything solid. We did, yeah. We did talk about mechanic shop.
Oh yeah,
We talked
brakes.
heavy about it,
We
yeah.
talked about oil changes and brakes for
Yeah,
a while.
like a
We even
quick
looked.
lube,
We
all
even
that.
talked. Yeah, because I even mentioned to Diddy about his building
Yeah,
that he has
that's right.
about renting it.
Mhm.
And then, they opened a brake shop across from Walmart, or tire shop.
That's
They
right.
did brakes, no changes, not
That's
even.
right.
We saw it being built, so that was kind of like a sign, like,
Yeah,
well, this is out the window.
they got it.
Yeah. Tom's
Little
is not
bit,
big enough
yeah.
for another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did talk. We talked about that for a while. Like, I remember because I asked my aunt, and she said she'd pay us to change her oil because we talked
Yeah.
about doing it mobile.
Yeah. Mo.
Yep, mobile oil change.
And that one was comfortable for me because, we
We
like
work
working
on
on stuff. We
everything.
work on our own stuff. So it's like, it seemed like a no-brainer, but, then you got tools, a shop, somewhere to do it.
Well, the biggest thing was the real estate. I mean, you're talking to build a place to do something like that with lifts and getting all your, all your tools for everything. I mean, doing brakes on your truck or my truck is simple.
Yeah.
But when you do brakes on a BMW or a Mercedes, there's no telling all the different things you're gonna have to
Or you
have.
forget to tighten the lug nuts on that thing and the wheel falls off, Running down I-20, that always scared me. 'Cause,
Yeah.
stuff
And
happens.
when we were talking about the mobile thing, you were scared about that because you was like, what are we going to do about getting oil on somebody's driveway? And
Yeah.
I was like, they're paying us to come change their oil.
Some people are worried about that.
They will.
Some people are worried about that. Got a nice clean driveway, they don't want oil on it.
Dixie Lock, I went to, this is so funny we brought that up. I went to he was in a CPA out in Gibson, in between Gibson and Avro.
Nice.
Like, and he has a sign on his driveway when you pull in, please no oil leaks. Yep.
Wow.
That peculiar, but now he's got a beautiful place.
Right.
So I understand it, but it's exactly,
Yeah.
when I saw it, I was like, these are the people Brett was talking about.
Yeah.
No oil leaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there thinking in my Dixie Lock van, oh goodness.
Yeah, that's right. Dated a girl in Atlanta. Used to drive old Snowball, all the way to Atlanta, go park in the driveway. Massive house, nice driveway. I used to put a piece of cardboard under my truck because it leaked. That's true story. True story. Her dad said, don't worry about it, but I think he was just being nice. He was like trying to have me not worry about it, but I'm like, I'm not going to just leak oil on a beautiful driveway, Like, But that's a little different. Customers probably.
Well, I don't know. If you start doing mobile oil changes, we end up on Walton Way somewhere. You can't leak.
No.
They got a cobblestone paved driveway. You can't be leaking oil on it.
Nope.
Lots of stuff. Man, it's crazy. All the different things we've done and all the different obstacles there could have been. Depending on which way we went. We decided to move chairs. It was just what. That was me in kindergarten. I carried a folding chair up there on the stage, and I said, when I grow up, I want to move chairs for a living. I sat the chair down.
Yeah.
I don't think that was anybody's dream when they were a child.
No.
But,
And I know, just thinking about a rental business, you think, or at least I sort of had this idea up until we went to buy them and realizing how hard it was to find, a good deal on some chairs. Like, this sounds really easy, like all you do is move chairs, you just take chairs from somebody, pick them up, take them back to the warehouse.
And that is the concept of
It's
it.
the
That's
concept.
complete, the concept sounds very easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there's a lot more to it, like with anything that we've had to learn as we go, because it sounds like a simpler business than any of those other things. To me, any of the other things we've done, sort of blue collar type stuff,
Right.
But
It's not.
it's not. It's not.
It's just as complex as anything else you
And I
do.
think it's like that with any small business, any idea that you have. People don't realize the hustle you put in, the time you put in doing stuff in the background.
Right, and that's what I was fixing to say. I don't think it matters what business you go in. That background stuff is in every business.
Yep.
Like inventory is in every business. Just about,
Yeah.
unless I can't think of one right now that wouldn't be. But I mean, even if you're like an accountant for yourself, you got to file paperwork.
Yeah.
You got to keep up with things. You got to keep them tracked on the computer. So it's technically, a form of inventory. I mean, taxes. That's
Yeah.
that's one.
Yeah,
You got to keep up with everything for that.
just keeps coming. Yeah,
Um,
one thing after the next.
you got to keep your place clean. You got to keep your vehicles running. All of these things line up across the board with
Yeah.
anything you're gonna do. There's
And I think,
ton of hidden stuff
Yeah.
that no one
And
ever
I-
sees.
and I think those businesses where you see people show up, perform a task, and then dip, a lot of times, it makes you think, oh, that's easy. But I don't think that's true. I think that means that person, they've got their shit together.
Oh, without a doubt.
They are putting in the work, they are doing the background work, and to you it appears easy. But, you have no idea what that person's doing to make themselves look that professional, pull off that job, and then they ride out. You don't know where they've been, what they've done to get to that point.
Oh, and
This has been an eye opener for me, even with
from a personal side, I've seen it with the lock shop. I can go to, a 2018 Ford F-150, and it's like this kind of complicated program a key.
Mhm.
And I can do it the first time and do it in, 20 minutes. They can be cranking their car and they're gone, and we can send, somebody that's been programming keys for a year, and he knows how to program keys, but this program is just different. And he'll be calling me, asking me how to do it, what to do, and it ends up taking him 45 minutes, whereas it takes me 20. The only difference is, I've done it, I have experience, I know what I'm doing. When I show up, I've looked it up, I've made sure I've got everything with me before I leave the office. Like, there's all this stuff I did. So when I pull up there, you think, oh, wow, this is easy for him.
Yeah.
Not really. You know, I did a lot of stuff to be able to come do this.
Yeah, you know what to do before you get there to try to prepare yourself, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So we did the pool company, or we talked about the pool company, then we talked about the equipment, we talked about the septic tanks, we talked about the mechanic shop, we did all this stuff, and then, like you were saying a little bit ago, you went to Claxon, you bought chairs.
Yep.
And that led us to where we are today after, it's been a while. When do we have that on here?
That was December 18th, 2022, I think.
It was.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we forgot that. And then, meanwhile, when Brett didn't want to start a business with me, I actually went to Greensboro. I didn't talk.
We didn't even get into that.
So I printed off business cards again. I went and looked at places to rent, actually toured several buildings, took my dad up there to look at stuff with me. Another buddy of mine, Jackson, took him with me. We went up to Greensboro, we handed out business cards several weekends. Actually ended up getting a big job. This is kind of cool to talk about. This guy, Wayne Smith, I think his wife was from England, I think she was from England, and she had been a property manager in England for like vacation homes for bigger companies or rich clients. And I guess when they got married, I think he was a military guy. They got married, they moved over to Greensboro and started doing the same thing there.
Yeah.
He actually got me a job to rekey a house in Greensboro when I was doing all this, and I met him. Still good contact, still do stuff for him. Rekeyed a house, and most houses like yours or mine, there's 2 or 3 exterior doors, this house had 1 lock on most exterior doors. There was like 3 or 4 that had 2, and I rekeyed 27 locks on this house. I think it had
It's a big house.
It had over 15 doors, exterior doors.
Yeah.
I mean, it had a putting green and a separate gym that was all glass on the outsides. It was super
That one
cool.
have a pool.
Yeah, that was the one
I
that
don't
put with the
have a pool,
bridge.
but yeah, I
And the
remember
pool
you
went
talking
all the way
about
down the side of the
Yes,
lake,
that,
and it had the
yeah.
infinity water or
Yeah.
infinity pool. Yeah. So I got that. I did a few other jobs, odd and end jobs in Greensboro. We were Dixie, like I said, already did some jobs, but tried that. I really think the only reason that didn't work out is because I never committed to a building, and with a locksmith shop, you kind of have to be there because when somebody needs you, they don't need you in an hour and a half.
Right.
They need you now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess I shied away from that because I didn't want to do it on my own.
Well, even with that, I remember you telling me about meeting that guy and getting this business and doing this work. And I know your personality. I know, I was confident. I was like, that dude probably loves having Hunter to help him out with his stuff. And I remember thinking, like, dang, this is going to work, kind of, for me, being kind of worried, like, oh man, I might have just lost out. We haven't found what we want to do together. And he's out here, I see you hustling, making this happen. And I remember feeling like, maybe he'll get it going to need me, but do I want to move to Greensboro? But I probably will, just to get out of where I'm at. But I remember thinking that was going to take off, hearing what you were doing. And I remember hearing you, talk about that and thinking that this was probably about to take off, but there were some obstacles there for you, like you said, the storefront owner being at that location, you're trying to bridge that gap with an hour and a half commute, and it's like this,
And
that runs into your costs too. I know there was some talks at Dixie about.
Well, yeah, that was one of the biggest obstacles.
Yeah.
The family dynamic. I'm trying to work this through brother, dad, and me, all work it all out to make it where I could start my own thing. And I don't think that it can work. But at some point you do have to make your own way, I guess, to say that, the right way. And it that probably could have worked if I would have rented a building.
I think it would have.
Yeah, and been there all the time and been in that community and got to know that community like I know this community.
Yeah.
And you know this community. That could have worked, but it was just I'm kind of glad it didn't.
Me too.
I don't want to, I enjoy working on locks, but, you know, this is a nice change. It's a nice.
I love that you know how to work on locks. We're not locked out of anything. Not that we're going to use that for, malicious purposes, but, it is enjoyable when we're at
Desperate times call for desperate measures.
Half the time you're rekeying places, venues we've been to, they need lock work done. Next thing you know, you're out there again, fixing the locks, But it's just funny knowing that I'm with somebody all the time. It's like, I'm not locked out of anything. It's cool.
No doubt.
It's a different trade.
It is, and not many people, most people think it's what you think, what you just described as you just unlock things all day.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we do a lot more than just unlock things. Yeah, we work on anything with a door, a lock, hinges, it doesn't matter. We'll do it all.
Yeah.
And it would have been, like I said, it would have been a cool thing to do. In Greensboro especially. It's a beautiful area, a lot of, higher end homes, and it would have been, it would have been different than it is around here. But
I think if you could have had I don't know how to put it in words, but if you could have had the backing and the freedom.
that's a word.
The
That's
freedom to
pursue it.
to do what
Like
you
I wanted to
needed to
pursue
do.
it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In your way, I really think that
It
would
could have worked.
Cheap Seats would be non-existent right now.
You never know. I think Cheap Seats had a place where it needed to be, and it's where it needs to be. So there's a reason for everything. We've learned that too.
Yeah.
Let me get this pulled up.
Going back to the iPad.
There was something else on here.
You type that in.
I know. Talk about how much you love John Deere.
Oh yeah, when we'll talk about that, that'd be a long,
Yeah.
talking about my deep love for my career
Yep.
in engineering.
So we just, I guess a recap. So the idea really did not, it just appeared. It wasn't, we talked about it after my wedding a little bit, I guess, because I had to spend so much money on rent stuff, and it was ridiculous. And I was like, this is crazy. I just paid them this much for these things, and then they're gonna come pick them up in 2 days.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't know nothing. They're there, they're gone.
Yep.
You use them, and they're gone. But that's kind of the beauty of it, You don't have to deal with it,
Yeah, they don't want to.
They bring it in there, set it up, and then when you're done with it, you ain't got to store it. Going back out.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the big things too. That people like is when I guess they don't know you're there. You just show up, and all of a sudden they have chairs, tables, a bar, have all this blank room just turned into an event.
Yeah.
We really, I guess the I don't know the right words, but I guess the way this worked out, I guess, for your.
Yeah, I kind of want to talk about that. That's kind of where my head's at.
I don't know where you go.
Kind of in that vein, like something I think worked out well with us being scared to make those moves.
Okay. Yeah.
This business has allowed us to maintain our full-time jobs. We have to sacrifice our weekends a lot of the times,
And
or
afternoons.
weekdays. Yeah.
And nights.
Anytime we're not at work, but
Personal relationships,
Yeah.
friends.
yeah, hunting,
Yes.
fishing, dirt bikes, you name it. But we've been able to, do what we need to do for Cheap Seats in our personal time, still maintain our full-time jobs, and then that helps us with being comfortable as far as we didn't just walk out of our jobs, right, and say, we've got to survive on what we can do with Cheap Seats.
Right.
And I think that really fit with our, being so scared. We started it when we bought those first chairs. I know our heads were in a spot of like, we were willing to try anything, I think. Like, I think I
Correct.
could have called you and said I wanted to.
Buy a porta potty.
Yeah.
I'm go like, buy it.
Yeah,
Let's see if
exactly.
we can rent it. You know, we'll vacuum it out with a shop vac.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care.
Anything. Yeah, literally. That's how deep we were in, really wanting to try something on our own. And I think that was something this industry and this, and starting out small as well as like we did. We started with 150 chairs, which we thought we had quite a few.
Oh yeah, we may need 200. We'll be good.
Yeah. And quickly, like, oh wow, we have nothing. Like
Yeah, but the way we did it, those chairs were what, it's $1,200 each, $2,400. So that didn't. I mean, it was ideal because it didn't scare me.
Yeah,
it and it didn't scare you. You were worried, but this was not something like if it did not work, if it went belly up, we lost $1,200
Right.
and
Or
2
not
hours of
even
your
that.
time.
We sell the chairs for a little bit less than we bought them for, right? And so we were pretty safe.
Yeah.
Very safe with that move. And that helped us make that jump. That helped us be able to start something, keep our day job.
Right. You were talking to me about how, you just said how you could be in that setting where people are, at a job where people are
Oh
coming.
yeah,
What were you saying?
yeah. Talking about you're in that setting. You're not getting promotions. You're not getting appreciated. You feel like the company doesn't value you. You're putting everything you've got into that company, and then a lot of people tell you, or you'll hear people say, quit. Just quit that job. Fuck those motherfuckers. That's how they'll say it when I listen to them. The podcast I listen to. Shout out Seth Rossi, HWMF podcast. Hell of a podcast. But not everybody can just quit that job. You need to either have another job lined up, right, and find a new job. Maybe that's the path for you. Maybe that's what you want, is just a job that you go to, you feel appreciated. You've got promotion opportunities. And you feel like you've got growth in that new company, and that's great. That's a very comfortable living. That's a very comfortable lifestyle. That's rewarding even. But for me and you, I think it was more in that vein of, we don't want to rely on a company or a boss or be, at somebody else's control. I'm trying to word this right. Like,
You don't want to put in all this time and effort to build something, for, and it's, there are companies out there that's worth doing that for, I would say, but at the same time, if you do this for yourself, all of that goes to the next generation. It is building something that is like a legacy more than just a career, is how I look at it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, kind of what I'm getting at though is your whole future, your
depends on what the people that run that company,
exactly,
at the top of the food
exactly.
chain.
You've got bosses that change all the time. One may like you, one may love you, one may hate you. You don't know, and it may not have anything to do with your work ethic or with your output. You may just not be a good match for that boss, and so I feel like, where we went with it was, we're tired of dealing with that. We want to cut that out. We're confident in me and you. We're confident in what we're capable of. We've seen
invest in yourself type of mentality.
Exactly.
Instead of
investing,
bet on you, invest in yourself. Correct, because you can control the outcome of that situation, and no one else can.
Yep. Even if you don't have the smarts, if you don't have the brains, if you don't have the money, something that always overcomes all of that is putting in the work.
Right. As long as you're willing to do it.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing we were just talking about, how this was the ideal situation. And even though it was the ideal situation, it was not, it's not all been, butterflies and roses. It has caused us, the biggest sacrifice would be time. I mean, we have no time,
Yeah.
There are times, the last few months, which we'll talk about as we keep going, but last few months we had some time, because we were slow, which we'd rather not have time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But, there were it gets to the point where there is no time, and we'll talk about you know, in the next couple episodes, we'll start talking about some mistakes that take a lot of time
Yeah.
that was just wasted. But
Was it though?
yes,
You learn from it though.
You do.
That's where putting in the work comes from, right?
Yep.
Even if you're spinning your wheels, you're learning something from that experience. You're
Right.
learning something from that mistake. And now we've got two brains looking at it, and we
And
can
that's-
both analyze it and see where we went wrong. And I think that's
right.
huge.
You can tell me where I went wrong, and I can tell you where you went wrong. And,
Yeah,
you
from
know, a lot of times
outsider's perspective.
right,
Yeah.
it's hard a lot of times, which that's something we both, I think, because we have each other, have gotten better at, is looking at ourselves. Like when something doesn't go right, what could I have done?
Mm-hmm.
Not what, oh, Brett didn't do this, you know, that's why this didn't go right. No, it's,
Yeah.
you know, dang, Brett, I'm sorry, I should have done this. And then Brett's like, oh, no, man, I should have done this. And it's like, we come to that agreement, like, yeah, we screwed the pooch on this one, you know.
Or a lot of times, like if I feel like oh, I've disappointed Hunter, you know,
Yeah.
like, I can feel that energy from you. I know you, you know, I
Right.
know you personally. I know you now from a job, business, Hunter, like, and I can feel that energy, right? When if I feel like I've disappointed you, like that'll make me immediately. I'll start to look at things like, you know, did I drop the ball somewhere? Is there something I could have done to help this go smoother? You know, and I'm very self-critical, so like that's kind of what leads me into that, you know,
Me too.
that thought process.
Yeah.
I'm extremely self-critical.
Yeah, I feel like that helps you though. That's a big thing in growth. I mean, you do have to give yourself credit, but at the same time, you also have to be the hard ass in your head, telling yourself,
Yeah.
if you don't do it, no one else is going to do it for you.
That's right.
Because they're not. I mean, you can depend on people. I don't care if it's your mom or your daddy. I don't care who it is. If you put your faith in people, you're going to be let down at some point. It's going to happen.
That's so negative.
I mean, but that makes
So
you,
negative.
but it builds you up into that self belief and that self work. Like put in the work on yourself, and you'll be, you'll be happier. You know, and
Yeah.
of course, put your faith in the Lord. But at the same time, all of that requires self work and self motivation and going and doing it. We've talked about a lot in this episode. We've talked about how this all started. We've talked about all the things that led to it. What we tried first. It's like, my personal opinion is it was laid out. Because we did all of this stuff, and it took 5 years. I don't remember how many years it took, but it took a few.
Close to it.
Yeah, it took 5 years for us to go buy only $400 worth of chairs, and we did all that, and none of that was it, and then this was it, and I believe that it was supposed to be it because it worked. We want people to understand that it wasn't easy. It still isn't easy. This is not our full-time job yet. We're still in that Dave Ramsey talks about on his podcast, treadmill stage. We're still in that, just like we're running and we're not going anywhere. I mean, it is a lot further along than I expected it, but it's also not where I wish it was.
Yeah.
Which is gonna probably be that way for a long time. But people need to understand that you can do it. Try to do it as safe as possible. I don't want anybody to take this and listen to it and be like, I'm gonna quit my job and buy $2,400 worth of chairs and I'll be rich. Because no, it's not gonna work like that. I mean, if it does, please call us and give us your secrets so that we can rent more chairs. Because that's our goal, is to rent more chairs. We everybody that listens and watches this, we want them to hopefully learn from our mistakes. Learn what, look at what we did. And and if you look at something we did or something we're doing when we get to where we're talking about current situations and you think you know something, please send us a message, an email, something, call us.
Comment.
Be like, hey, look, I know where you're at. I've done this. This is what you should be doing, and I promise we'll try it, because that's the one thing I think I've learned the most from this is try new things. What's the old saying?
Can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah, something like beating up. Well, I can't think of the saying now, but yeah, that's one thing we have done is trying to.
Beating a dead horse.
Yeah, we need to quit beating it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've learned not to beat a dead horse. And move on when something doesn't
Don't
work.
beat horses in general. Horses are animals.
Yeah, we don't want Pete after us. But yeah, we just want people to. I hope people will watch it and learn from what we're doing and be inspired to do something themselves.
Yeah.
Because that is, in my opinion, what makes this country great. Is that you can do that. You can go out and, if you want to, start a sewing factory, you can buy you a Singer sewing machine and start making blue jeans. I mean, and you never know. In 20 years, you may be the next Levi blue jean company.
Nobody's gonna stop you.
Right. I mean, and it happens every day. I mean, there's people that are starting something right now that will probably be the next Amazon or the next Tesla or the next Apple or Microsoft. And I mean, you just, from the foundings of this country, that's just been a thing that is, it's always been here. And I don't think it's gone. I think the media tries to tell you it's gone because that's what they do, is be negative. But
And the times have changed, right?
without a doubt. I mean,
That's not
everything's
just word of mouth. I mean, we're here on camera,
That's the hard part to
getting
me.
this out into
Yeah.
the world. A lot of our business is word of mouth, people we know or wedding planners we've worked with. They share that with the bride. But a lot of our businesses also came from just us putting ourselves out there.
Yeah.
And so just putting in the work doesn't mean putting in the work, get the chairs there on time. It means
Behind the
getting
scenes.
in uncomfortable situations like we are right now. We've never done this.
And it's weird.
It is very weird.
Yep.
It is very weird, but
Sitting across the table, filming ourselves having a conversation.
Yeah.
Did not think I'd ever do this,
no.
but here we are.
Mhm.
We've gotten to plenty of things like that. The expos. You could tell when we went. We'll talk about that later. But I mean, that was uncomfortable. I've talked to more wedding planners now than I ever have. And not about my own wedding. I didn't even have one. So, we may do an episode on that and tell people if you can afford a wedding planner, get one. I hope people will just, take something from it, learn from what we did. Don't be so scared that you don't do it. Do think about it. Make sure it's, don't risk everything on, a limb. That's not the right way to go about it. But if you've always thought about doing something, do it.
And I guess my kind of, the way my brain's always working. Don't think it's going to be easy. No, we mentioned it a few times, but don't think you've got it figured out. Don't think that it's just going to work itself out. There's a lot of things you're going to have to do, a lot of obstacles, and it's going to be nonstop. And if you're like us, you're working a full-time job, and you're tired or you're stressed, or you name it, there's still going to be stuff that has to get done, and you're going to have that drive where you can just say I'm doing this because this is extremely important.
Right. You got to make it a
Business
priority.
relies on
You
it,
have
yeah.
to make it a priority. It has to be a priority over a lot of things in your life. If it's not, then you're not going to go do what needs to be done. And if you don't do what needs to be done, it will not work. I don't care what you do. I mean, this is not like winning the lottery.
Yeah.
This ain't just getting lucky. You can't. I don't think you get lucky and have $1 million business.
I don't think so either.
We don't have $1 million business, so maybe that is what's wrong. We're not lucky. But yeah, I think if you go into it with humility, knowing that you're gonna be wrong a lot, but that even when you're wrong, you're just gonna say okay and correct and put in another same amount of work to fix it and get it right.
Yeah.
And I think you'll be fine. It's not, you talked about renting the chairs. I mean, we had talked about that on here. Buying the chairs was just a 2-hour drive and giving the lady some money, and that was the easy part.
That's right.
Having them for 2 months before they rented. That's. And then it was another month, I think, before they rented again.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that's it.